Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Christine with Patter Crafts, and today I am participating in the Encouragement Hop hosted by Courtney Kreber, Mary Polanco, and Jen from Scrapina Creation. So thank you ladies for organizing this. Today's card, I'll be using the stamp set from All To New called Happy Heart. I'll also be using a sentiment from Uniquely Creative. I'll be using Just Breathe, You Got This. And this stamp set is called Essential Sentiments. And I'll also be using some of these glittery enamel dots from Waffle Flower. So to start each card, I generally stamp out all the images from the stamp set. Sometimes I color them all in, sometimes I just color what I know I'm going to use, but sometimes I don't know what I'm going to use, and this is one of those situations. I am going to stamp out this stamp set twice because I'm not exactly sure which flowers I want to use, so it's just what I decided to do today. So we're going to go ahead and stamp all of these. I'm using the Gina K Designs Amalgam ink. It's the black, I don't know if it's called jet black or just black, but I don't have it right in front of me. I apologize. I will put the name of it in the description below. I really do enjoy this ink. I find it doesn't smear with my Copics, and it makes a really nice impression. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp out one set of images. I'm going to grab another piece of scrap paper and let's stamp this out again. I just want to make sure that they lined up because this piece of paper is a little bit shaped different than the last one. So going ahead and stamping those all out. So once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and grab some Copic markers and we are going to color all the flowers in. Now I'm not going to show you the coloring for both sets, just the one set. While I'm coloring these, I do try to put the caps up so that you can see them. Then I decide maybe you can't see them because the Chow markers, there's no numbers on the tops of those, so I decided I'm going to write them on the side. But for those of you that cannot read that, like myself, I will go ahead and let you know what those colors are. So for my yellows, I'm using Y11, Y15, and Y38. When I'm coloring my images, this is kind of new to me. I've been using the light color to just kind of wet the paper where I think the darker areas are going to be. And then I go over with the darker marker, then I go to my middle color, and then I go to the light. So I'm going light to dark to medium to light. Sometimes I'll go back in with the dark if I don't think the darker areas are dark enough. I'm still experimenting with Copic coloring, so if I'm not exactly doing that for each one, it's just because I'm still learning. So anyway, for the pinks there, we have R20, RV13, and R32. For my greens, I'm using YG13, YG67. Now for this white flower, I think it went a little dark with the W's, but once it dries, it actually looks really nice. So even though it scared me when I was coloring, it still came out pretty well. And I used W0, W2, and W4. And lastly, for the purples, I used BV00, BV02, and V17. So I'm just going to go ahead and color those all in. And I did try to cut these with my Scan and Cut, but I was having issues. It just didn't like some of the images, and I'd colored them first, so I decided, you know what, instead of having my machine cut where it's not supposed to, for those of you that have a Scan and Cut, you know what I'm referring to. So I fussy cut out all of these flowers. So for this little center part, I have this oval with some wonky stitching, and I'm just going to run that through my die cut, and it makes a really pretty like stitched pattern on it, but it doesn't cut all the way through. When I envisioned this card, was thinking it was going to make this little bouquet and this like pretty oval. And if I would have made a bigger card, if the size of these flowers probably would have worked for that, but the flower size was a little big for what I was picturing. And I'm sure some of you know that when you're card making, your vision changes throughout the process. Things you think will work won't work, and things you don't think will work. So it's constantly, you know, sort of changing what your original thought or plan was. So I'm just kind of messing around with the flowers here, and then I decide I'm losing too much of that pretty stitching on the back. So I'm just trying to figure out which of these flowers I'm going to use, because I'm noticing they're a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be. So we're going to just push on, and my vision will change a little bit, and we're going to start with the purple heart, or the purple flower. This is the biggest, one of the biggest flowers, so it'll be the first one it goes down. I am stamping down what I'm assuming is some sort of baby's breath for the back of the flowers to add a little something into that space. And I am using wet glue, which I do not use a lot of, because I want that entire flower to be completely flat on my paper. So I'm also going to be sticking in some of these green leaves behind the flowers. And I'm still sort of deciding which flowers I want to use. Then I decide, you know, if I'm going to use more of this stamp, what I'm calling baby's breath, I am going to need to add this before I glue any more of these or adhere any more of these flowers down. But I have the flower there, so I grab a piece of scrap paper and I try to go over it, but with the slight width of the flower that's already adhered and the scrap paper, it didn't necessarily want to stamp very well. But, you know, then I have to grab a black pen, a very thin black pen, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw those lines in. As long as the little top part peeks out, that's really all that's going to show. So for the white flower, I want it to be a little bit raised from the purple, so I just add one layer of foam tape on the back of that, and then I'm just adding a little leaf here. Then this pink flower needs to pop up from the white flower, so I will be adding 2 layers of foam tape to this flower. So once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. And then I'm going to finish up this by adding some more of those leaves and just kind of put them randomly around the flowers. Okay, so now I am all done with that part. I decided I want to do a little bit of finishing touches, I guess you could say, on these flowers. So I go ahead and I bring in my Wink of Stella clear glitter brush. I do add that first because I have found that if I add my gel pen on and then put the Wink of Stella on, it tends to smear. Probably if I wait for it to dry, it wouldn't do that, but I'm impatient. So I'm going to go ahead and add a ton of glitter onto these flowers. Then once that is done, I will bring in my gel pens. I'll be using the black gel pen to add some dots to the center of the purple flower and the pink flower. I thought the black would be too much for the white flower, so I do grab my white gel pen for that, but for whatever reason, this white gel pen just did not want to cooperate today. I don't know if it's drying up or it's just, I don't know. So I tried to find a different one, but I couldn't, so I'm trying to make this one work. So I just wanted to add some white dots to the center of that flower, and then I was trying to add some white highlights, and I did manage to get a couple on. I don't think you're really going to see it in the video, but I kind of gave up because this pen just did not want to work. But, you know, we must go on, so I'm going to go ahead. I've used this when I've used Wink of Stella before, a white gel pen. So I know it's not it could be preventing this particular pen, but I've definitely used a white gel pen over Wink of Stella plenty of times, and it's worked. You know, sometimes you just have that one thing in your craft room that just doesn't want to cooperate. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the sentiment. I am using Just Breathe for the outside. I thought it would be fun to use something other than black. So I'm kind of looking at some of the pinks that I have for inks. I don't really have a lot of colored ink. So I have this light pink, and then I have this dark pink, and those are the only pinks I have. The light was too light. The dark one was too dark, so I just said, forget it. We'll have to go with black. And really at the end, I'm really happy with the black, so it's certainly no disappointment on my part. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Just Breathe in the upper left-hand corner. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp on the inside the sentiment that says, "You got this." I thought this was perfect because I do have some people in my life that are making some big changes in their life, and I think they're going to be great and positive changes for them. And I understand how scary it is to kind of, you know, up and switch careers or move states. It can be very scary. So I just want them to know, you got this. You can do it. Just take a breath. It's going to be okay. But I wanted to add a little something to the inside of this card. The colored images weren't going to work, so I decided to grab my Memento London Fog ink. It's a light gray ink. And I'm going to use this flower here, and we're going to stamp it right over the "You got this" part. And it'll look really nice because you can still see the flower, but it doesn't hinder the sentiment in any way. So we're going to go ahead and put our panel on the front of the card. I'm not using foam tape because the flowers have enough of it. And we're just going to finish this off with some of those glitter enamel dots. I'm using the clear ones with the glitter. They're so pretty. And that is it for my card for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Please continue on the hop. I'll leave a link in the description below to the next person. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, hit that subscribe button. But until next time, everyone, bye.